Alright, welcome back. This is going to be a long and boring video about my flight stick configuration. Right, so I've got an X52 Pro. What I'll do is I will save these config files and I'll put them in my Discord, and if you want to download them and try them, you can do. Bear in mind, the normal X52, you might be able to follow what I've done, but the file itself probably won't work because this is a Pro, and it might not work. But first of all, I'll just show you what I've got. Right, so there's a few things. I have a throttle quadrant, and I have this thing which came with the Move controllers. So if you do copy my my configs and my thingies, on the settings and control settings, you'll have a device that says devices off if you don't have these. But if you don't have these, it doesn't matter if you don't have these. It doesn't matter at all. Right, so what I've got is, on this quadrant, I've got the propeller pitch, I've got the water and air cooling flat pitch thing, and the oil radiator pitch. Down here you've got 3 buttons, so if you pull this lever down to 0 and then past it, you press a button. This button turns off auto prop pitching on. This one turns off auto radiators, and this one is for prop feathering. So when you go into manual controls, sometimes planes are still in auto before you can adjust them, so you just go here and then you can adjust the radiators. These buttons are for various radiator commands, I think. And I think I've got this one set to supercharger control, I think that one's on supercharger control. And I use the Move controller to control ATGMs and nodes. So when you fire the missile, I use this thumbstick to control where it goes. There are 2 buttons behind here. It's like a joypad. There's a bumper button and a trigger behind here. And the bumper button is for zoom. And I've been working on the helicopters. I haven't finished the helicopter settings yet, but I use this for helicopter settings as well. I think I use this button to get into the ATGM view, and then I move this to slew the target around, and I click it to lock. But yeah, I use that for other stuff. So if you see it on the settings, you'll see what it is. Right, so by default, this button here, where is it? It's usually the clutch button, which enables you to switch profiles on the fly without actually going to the little icon in your taskbar. You can choose your different profiles. But if you want to use that as a button in game, where are we? Down here, Hotas, properties, and MF down here. Just disable the clutch button mode. If you disable that, you can assign that as a button instead of, because if it's on clutch mode, you can't use it in game as a button. It only works as a profile swapper. So I've just unchecked that. Okay, what's next? Right, so what I've done here, I've just created a blank profile. So you've got 3 modes, and you've got the pinky switch as well, which is like a shift. So, but I don't use that. I use the pinky switch to activate voice attacks, so I don't do that. So what I'm going to do is just delete it, and I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to delete this one. It just gives you extra buttons, like shift and something else, but I don't use it. So, however, I do use 3 modes. So what you need to do, click no fallback, no fallback, no fallback. So that means each mode is completely separate. So now you can just type in here. I put props. You don't have to put props, but I put props. And I put jets on here. And then I put choppers. Choppers, not X-uppers. Choppers. Now you can... yeah, no, we don't need that. You can make it so when you change modes, it presses a button as well. This is useful in DCS, especially in the Harrier, when you've got the 3 modes. You've got the VTOL, air to ground, and something else. You can assign it so that when you press it, it'll recognise a button, but I haven't got that one. So mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. Okay, so you've got what I've done. For mode 1, I haven't assigned a button, but for mode 2, you assign a button. For example, we'll just call it H. Call that H. We'll call it Untitled. We'll just call that 112, whatever that is. And then for the third mode, we'll do another button, and that can be G. I'll just do something like that. So when you're in propeller mode, when you press the trigger, the game will recognise that you've pressed the trigger. When you're in mode 2, the game will think that you've pressed the H button. And same with mode 3. When it's in mode 3, it'll think when you press the trigger, it'll press G. So that's how I've got it set up. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? Same with the second trigger. Same with all these. So that's how I've done that. As I said, you can use the shift button if you want, but... Right, so this is my normal configuration. So I've got toggle SAS mode, which is your stability augmentation thing. Some jets have it and some helicopters have it, so I've just got it on a shift and backstroke. Because I don't use that often. Small caliber guns. C4 is controller 4, which is my X52. Button 1 is the trigger, so machine guns is the trigger. But as I said before, if we look here, in jets, the trigger is used for missile, so I've had to use machine guns, jet 50 cals, for this button here. Because in jets, this would be my cannon button, but I also use it for jet 50 cals as well. So in jet mode, I've assigned that button for right shift and numbered decimal, which is here. So that button fires machine guns, and it also fires cannons. Large caliber guns, if we go back to propeller plane, which is this C button. Button 5 is C, is the C button. So large caliber guns in propeller planes is the C button. It's also the second stage trigger, which is button 15. So when I press both triggers here, it fires machine guns and cannons. And also large caliber guns is fired by this. It is very annoying and very annoying. Right, so button 2 is my bomb button. If you look there, that fires additional cannons. So if you've got gun pods on, if you press that button, it'll only fire the gun pods. But it also drops bombs as well. It's the same button I use for dropping bombs. And additional guns is button 15, which is your second trigger. So when I press down the second trigger, it fires everything. Okay, so I haven't got that because that I don't know why it needs an axis. I don't understand that. So I haven't messed around with that one. Drop bomb, as I said before, which is the bomb button. Open Bombay door is just the D button. Drop bomb, obviously, is that. Drop bomb series, I've just put it on, you can put it on anything. I've just got it on F4 for some reason. I don't really do bombs that often. Fire rocket, which is this button here. I've got that to fire rocket. And rocket salvo I haven't assigned. Air to ground missile, which is button 3, which is this one here. That's the air to ground, which is the nodes and the bullpups and things. That's the button I press. Where are we? Fire air to air missile, which is, if you look on jets, it's F and M, which is the trigger button, but it's F and M for fire air to air missile. Weapon lock. That is on. It's on the, where are we? As I said before, there's a hat switch behind here, and it's the up button. I press that up to warm up your IR missiles. It's also the gunner view, but planes with air-to-air missiles don't have gunner view, so I don't have to worry about it. So there's a little toggle switch. There's a little 8-way hat where your main finger is, and I just pull it up, and that where is it? That does your weapon lock. Fire flares is, where are we? This button here, which I mentioned earlier. In jets, it fires flares. In propeller planes, it turns your smoke on and off. So that's Alt F. As I said, you can change these to whatever you want. What else do we have? Okay, so your axis for aimed weapons, pitch axis for aimed weapons. I mentioned before, it's that move controller. You can see it's the it's on an axis. So you can assign buttons for them instead if you've got something else. But that's what I have. Okay. Right. So controller 2 is my throttle quadrant. Controller 2 is my throttle quadrant. So it's button 1. There's a series of three switches that we saw earlier. Let me just see if I can find them. Yeah, this is very, very complicated. Switch radar on and off, which is controller 2, which is my throttle quadrant, which is button 1. So this button here turns the radar on and off. That changes the radar mode. I don't know if that does anything anymore. And these buttons are on something else. And I don't know if I can... Yeah, these buttons don't highlight up when I press them. So... change radar search mode, which is this one here when I press it. The radar scope scale is one of these two. I can't remember which one it is. Lock radar target, which is this one. And I'm not sure where that one is. I don't know where that one is. So if you've got two targets in front of you, you can choose which one to lock onto. I don't know where button 34 is. It might be one of these two. Yeah. Okay, so it's one of these. Oh, that one's flying. That one's pressing now. That one presses. But these two don't. So one of these is select radar to lock. And the other one is change radar range. This one is lock target, and this one is change radar search mode. And so the way I've got it, it's nice to use, but it's difficult to explain. Okay. Reload guns is Y for some reason. Oh, Schrager music. As I said before, this one is the Schrager music, this one here. In jets, it doesn't work in jets. So that one's Schrager music, but that's also my nodes and bullpups. Toggle ballistic computer is space. Mouse wheel multi... I don't know about that. Throttle axis. What I've done... let's go into a plane so I can show you. Right, so throttle axes. What I've done is I've made it so you don't hold throttle for WEP. That's on no. And to go into WEP, there's a mouse wheel on the throttle, and the button is button 19. You hold it, and when you hold it, it goes into WEP, and you let go, it goes off. So it's right. Basically, it is a right mouse button as well. It's right mouse button, and it's also button 19 for some reason. So what I've done is I've adjusted the multiplier and correction so that when you're at full throttle on the stick, it doesn't quite hit into WEP. So I've got it on -3 and 0.98, which you can see here. If you look at the throttle, it only goes to 99% when I hold it forward. And if I want to go into WEP, I've got to hold the button down. You know what I mean? So, controls. Where are we? And maximum value. That's the button that I use to get into WEP. Right. What else? Okay. Roll axis, pitch axis, and yaw axis. I've got all these on 100%. It's just the way I like them. The roll axis, I've got non-linearity, but on the pitch axis, I've got 1.6 non-linearity. Everything's 100%, but the non-linearity on the pitch is 1.6. Now, with that Mustang setting that we saw earlier and the Spitfire setting, I have non-linearity on 0. That's the only difference I have. Everything stays at 100. Because Mustangs and Spitfires, I've tried everything. I've tried everything to get them to fly right, and it doesn't. Nothing works. Okay, what else have we got? There we go. Ignite boosters. I've just got that on B for the 262 and the Kika, I think, has boosters, but I've just got it on B. Okay, so I've got toggle flaps, which I've showed you before. It's this button here, this thumbstick here. You can see there, POV1. You can see here, it's POV1. So toggle flaps is left. Flaps down is down. I've got air brake, which is right, and I've got gear, which is up. Left and right brake on the rudder pedals. As I said, if you haven't got the same gear as me, all these things will be it'll say devices off or something. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Toggle gunners I've got on space as well. I don't really use that. Camera control. Toggle view. Where are we? Toggle view, which is this top button here. That button there. Cockpit view is the throttle, is the hat, which you can't see. This thing here. There's a POV hat behind here. Cockpit view is down, I think. Cockpit view is down. Gunner view is to the right. No, gunner view is up. Bomber view is to the right. And to the left turns the sight on and off. It's bloody annoying. Nothing assigned there. Miscellaneous aerobatic smoke, which is I mentioned before. Open cockpit is the insert button. Cockpit lighting is the delete button. Toggle cockpit sight, which is where are we? Too many buttons. That's the throttle hat button again. So left toggles the sight, right it toggles the ballistic computer sight mode. That's what I use for that. I don't use that. Trimming. Reset trimming is X. Trimmer fixation is F. Elevator trim axis, which I said before, is this button here, which is up and down. Up and down. Aileron is the left arrow keys and right arrow keys. I've got rudder trim set to S and W, but I said you don't need to. You can do whatever you want. Engine controls mode is the A button. Toggle engine is Q. Mixture is this button here. Is the rotary dial for mixture. And propeller pitch, I mentioned before, is this one. Radiator is this one. Oil is this one. Toggle auto radiator is that button. Toggle supercharger is this button, I think. Prop feathering is this one, and that's the auto prop pitch. And I think that's pretty much it. Right, so the only thing I've changed on the duck setting is, where is it? It's here. Zoom air axes. Where are we? Zoom air axes is this slider here. Yeah, zoom axis is that slider there, and I'll show you why. Close. Helicopter hover height. I don't know. I haven't done the choppers yet. So, what's happened to my graphics? Oh, I was fiddling. I was fiddling around with post effect settings, but I think I made it worse. I've got to put it back to Reinhard. Cockpit sharpness, I turned that too far up as well. Yeah, I was messing around with Polynon, but I just couldn't get it right. So I've just got contrast in Reinhard. That's all I have. So, yeah, so I very rarely use that sight because it doesn't work properly. So for the duck, I've got the zoom on a slider, so then I can just look straight at the top gun sight. You know, the top one there. So that's the only thing I've got different in the duck setting. That's because I don't use this for any other plane apart from the duck. Oh, and some of the Japanese, well, any plane that's got a scope. I'll show you. Yeah, so anything with a scope, the zoom axis on, if you got the zoom on an axis, it doesn't go into the scope. It doesn't go there. It only goes that far. And then you can also, well, I suppose you can use that as well. So that's why I use a zoom axis on anything that's got a scope, because that is just, it's impossible to use. Actually impossible. So that's why I use the zoom axis. And that's about it, really. It's a really pretty plane, the D3. Really pretty plane. Thank you. Right, so in my Discord, I'll update the downloads and I'll put this in, and you can mess around with it if you want. As I said, a lot of the devices won't be online, so you'll have to. None of it'll work. None of it'll work. Never mind. Yeah. So anyway, I haven't done the choppers as I said before, so I need to work on those. I don't know what else to say. Apart from thanks a lot, and I'll see you later. Alright, bye bye.